The maintenance bay of orbital station Kepler 442 hummed with the low thrum of recycling processors, a sound Jack Martinez had grown to find oddly comforting during his 3 years as head janitor. What wasn't comforting was the way his 8-year-old twins, Zara and Kex, sat hunched over their homework tablets, their delicate blue-scaled faces scrunched in frustration. "Dad, this doesn't make sense," Zara signed, her webbed fingers moving in the graceful patterns of Aquarian sign language that Jack had learned when he first adopted the twins after their parents died in a mining accident. Jack set down his plasma mop and knelt beside his daughter, his calloused human hands looking crude next to her elegant appendages. The homework display showed complex mathematical equations that would have challenged a university student back on Earth. But here on the station, it was standard 8-year-old curriculum for Aquarian children. "Remember what I taught you?" Jack signed back, his movement still clumsy after 3 years of practice. "Break it into smaller pieces. What's the first step?" Kex, always the more impatient of the twins, threw his stylus down in frustration. The sound echoed in the maintenance bay, and Jack felt that familiar pang of inadequacy. Other Aquarian parents could help their children navigate the complex mathematical concepts that came naturally to their species' enhanced cognitive abilities. Jack could barely keep up with basic arithmetic in base 12. "I'm stupid," Kex signed, his normally bright amber eyes dulled with disappointment. "All the other kids finish in half the time." "You're not stupid," Jack signed firmly, pulling both twins closer. "You're different, and different isn't bad." He had learned this lesson the hard way. When he'd first applied to adopt Zara and Kex, the Aquarian authorities had been skeptical. A human janitor with no formal education beyond high school, wanting to raise 2 deaf Aquarian children. The bureaucrats had clicked their gills dismissively and suggested he find human orphans instead. But Jack had seen something in those 2 scared children hiding in the station's medical bay. They reminded him of himself at that age, lost, alone, and convinced the universe had forgotten about them. The difference was he could actually do something about their situation. "Look," Jack said, switching to spoken English while still signing. "The thing about being human is we're stubborn. We don't give up, even when things seem impossible." He pulled up a basic calculator on his tablet and began working through the problem step by step, translating the Aquarian mathematical concepts into human terms he could understand, then back into signs his children could follow. "See? We convert the tidal frequencies into linear progressions first, then—" The maintenance bay door hissed open, and Jack's blood froze. Standing in the doorway, flanked by 2 ceremonial guards, was Queen Nerida herself. Her scales shimmered with the deep blue-green of royalty, and the bioluminescent patterns along her neck marked her as one of the most genetically pure Aquarians in the galaxy. Jack scrambled to his feet, nearly knocking over a cleaning cart in the process. "Your Majesty, we didn't expect—" Queen Nerida raised a webbed hand for silence, her large eyes taking in the scene. A human janitor in work coveralls, 2 young Aquarian children with homework scattered around them, and the smell of industrial cleaner hanging in the air. "Continue," she signed, her movements precise and regal. "I wish to observe." Jack's heart pounded. He had heard the rumors about the Queen's visit to inspect the station's educational programs. But why was she here in the maintenance level, watching him help his children with homework? Zara and Kex sat frozen, their eyes wide with terror and awe. No Aquarian child had ever seen the Queen this close, let alone had her personal attention. "It's okay," Jack signed to his twins, forcing his hands to remain steady. "Show her what you've learned." Kex, still trembling, picked up his stylus and began working through the problem Jack had just explained. His movements were slow and deliberate, but he methodically converted each step, double-checking his work the way Jack had taught him. Queen Nerida watched in silence, occasionally tilting her head as she observed Jack's teaching methods. When Kex finally reached the correct answer, she moved closer. "Interesting," she signed, addressing Jack directly. "You teach them to question each step, to verify their logic. This is not the Aquarian way." "No, Your Majesty," Jack replied, his signing becoming more confident. "It's the human way. We assume we're wrong until we prove we're right." A sound escaped the Queen's throat, something between a click and a whistle that Jack recognized as Aquarian laughter. "The council told me I was making a mistake when I approved your adoption request," she signed, settling gracefully onto one of the maintenance crates. They said humans lack the cognitive capacity to properly educate Aquarian children. Jack felt the blood drain from his face. Had she come here to take his children away? But they were wrong, the Queen continued, her bioluminescent patches flickering with what Jack hoped was amusement. These children understand mathematics better than students in our finest academies, not because they are faster, but because they truly comprehend each concept. She turned to address Zara and Kex directly. Tell me, little ones, why do you work so slowly when you could simply memorize the formulas? Zara looked at Jack, who nodded encouragingly. Because Dad says understanding is more important than speed, she signed. If you understand the why, you can solve any problem, even ones you've never seen before. Queen Nerida's patterns flashed brighter. And what else has your father taught you? That being different isn't wrong, Kex signed, gaining confidence. Dad says humans are different from Aquarians, but they still built spaceships and joined the galactic community. Different just means you solve problems in your own way. The Queen stood, her expression thoughtful. Jack Martinez, she signed formally. The Royal Academy has been struggling with student comprehension rates. Our children memorize quickly but struggle with creative problem solving. Jack's heart raced as he sensed where this was going. Would you consider developing a curriculum that combines human pedagogical methods with Aquarian educational standards? The position would come with appropriate compensation and resources. Jack looked at his twins, both beaming with pride, then back at the Queen. Your Majesty, I'm just a janitor. No, Queen Nerida signed, her movements firm and decisive. You are a teacher who happens to clean floors. There is a significant difference. As the Queen and her guards departed, Jack sank onto the crate beside his children, overwhelmed. Zara and Kex threw their arms around him, their homework forgotten. Dad, Zara signed against his shoulder. Does this mean we're not weird anymore? Jack hugged his twins tighter, feeling the familiar surge of fierce protectiveness that had driven him to fight bureaucracy, learn an alien language, and master mathematics he'd never thought possible. We were never weird, sweetheart, he signed back. We're just human, and sometimes that's exactly what the universe needs.